My parents took me to court over a house I didn't even live in. My parents and I had always been rocky, distant but civil, or so I thought. I'd moved out years ago, built my own life, worked a steady job at a warehouse to keep my tiny apartment afloat. Then one day, out of nowhere, I got a call from them, voices tight, asking for money. They said they were drowning in debt, couldn't pay their mortgage, and needed me to bail them out. I felt bad, but I barely had enough for myself. Rent, bills, food, so I told them I couldn't help. They didn't yell or cry, just hung up, and I figured that was that. Weeks later, I'm sitting at home when a knock comes at my door. It's a process server handing me legal papers. My jaw dropped as I read them. My own parents were suing me, claiming I owed them thousands for raising me, saying it was my duty to cover their house payments now that I was on my feet. I couldn't believe it. I called them, furious, asking what kind of stunt this was, and my mom just said, "You've got a job, you owe us." Like I was some investment they were cashing in. I spent nights poring over those papers, my head spinning, wondering how it got this bad. They'd always been bad with money. Trips, cars, stuff they couldn't afford. But this? I hired a cheap lawyer, scraping my savings, and dug into their finances. Turns out they'd blown their cash on failed bets and shady business ideas. Nothing to do with me. I showed up in court, nervous but ready, with bank records and old texts where they'd bragged about their spending. The judge barely blinked, just tossed the case out, saying they had no claim. My parents sat there stone-faced and didn't even look at me as I left. Now they won't call, won't text, acting like I'm the villain for not handing over my life to fix theirs. I'm still shaking off the shock, but I sleep better knowing I stood my ground. Family's supposed to lift you up, not drag you down with their mess.